going through it because they're children, they're innocent men and women. There are people that's involved and also in between war. That's what you're seeing is a lot of political commentary go on. You're seeing a lot of politicians. You're even seeing our president and the former president and his political party. It's a shit show. You guys, it is a shit show. Whether you believe it's all scripted or whether you believe it's divine intervention or whether you believe in government, whether you believe in your conspiracy theories of what the government is, it's all to each his own, but humanity is not doomed, you guys. You know, humanity's not doomed. You guys, we got to have more faith in that. I know it's a sad timeline that it's a sad portion of our timeline. Now, death has always been part of our timelines in human history, but it's just fucked up when you're going through it because they're children, they're innocent men and women. There are people that are close to us, family members, friends of ours, that are being impacted, and also pain is being inflicted on their bloodline. You know, it's scary to see because it could be in our backyard tomorrow, and that's the scary part about all of it. But yeah, these are all my raw emotions about what's happening, because I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm a brother, I'm a fellow human teammate member of you guys that cares and feels like sometimes, especially here in America, we think we the shit. We think that we got it all figured out. We think that, you know, we big bad Americans all the time, and we think that, you know, America's just it can never reach us. But there's a lot for us to learn. Before I read this next question, let me just give you guys a brief overview of the people I come from while I've been living in America. So I'm black and indigenous. I don't know how else to explain that part, but I don't necessarily describe myself as just black. I consider myself to be a darker pigmented melanin person. I have a certain lineage that describes this vessel that I'm in, on that cultural aspect or that cultural viewpoint, where it could be African, it could be Cuban, Afro-Cuban, it could be Afro-Australian, it could be anything Afro. That's where I'm part of. I come from that bloodline, right? That particular bloodline has been oppressed in America for a lot of years. Some people will disagree, especially some politicians that, of course, keep their head in their ass and are racist as fuck and pretend like nothing goes on with mass incarceration and over-policing our communities and birth control and also disease and drugs and famine created amongst a systemic timeline and over decades and over centuries of time. So I'm gonna clock it for you guys real quick. Let me just give you the breakdown. So this is where I'm at. That's my black side, right? I got a long history being in America. Family telling me what's going on, who's treating us well, who's been treating us unfairly, all the cultures we should get along with, and then having to still have a good heart, knowing that we were, me and my ancestors were treated like this. Liberation has always been at the forefront of my mind, especially coming from that community. And if it isn't, then I know that I'm aiding into the destruction of my community, because liberation is really the function that needs to be at the forefront. And don't get, again, this is just me speaking. You guys can go and search other people that have similar voices to mine that are also speaking about the same things, but in their own way, right? I am just representing my space, but as an indigenous black man, especially black man, that's where my culture is. Now, on the indigenous side, I am a Lakota man. Lakota, Lakota. My name is Ayla. It was given to me by my elders and also some of my family members. It means Little Mountain. I have family that comes from North Dakota, South Dakota, also very tied into Nakota and the Dakotas. I won't say Sioux, but we all have different subsects into our tribe and subcultures within that. Now, we are all indigenous, but if you look at American government versus the indigenous population here in America, there's a lot of history that has been told and also purposefully hidden. So I remember, one of, our family friends came up to me and he was like, "Oh man, so you doubly fucked. You doubly fucked." I was like, "What you mean?" He was like, "Oh, you black and native." Oh shit. Look at those two sides of the coin. I mean, do you realize who you are? And I said, okay, well, maybe I need to do a little bit more research. I didn't understand what that meant, but that was, it was new for me. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, I'm black and native or black and indigenous. What does that mean? And then I started looking at other countries, and I started looking at the continents, and I started looking at the history, and I noticed that there's a lot of indigenous populations that has been murdered senselessly, irresponsibly. I don't know if you guys are familiar with some of this history that I'm referring to. Again, this is important for me to get out to you guys so you have a better understanding of where my thought process comes from. Me being a kid and then also getting older and learning all this, what do you think you would feel if you found out that not just one family member, but hundreds of millions of your ancestors were murdered? Hundreds of millions. I think we would all have different reactions. I'm gonna just say that. For me, I went a little crazy. I went a little crazy when I found that out, because I said, there's no fucking way that they would get away with this. And when you see who's responsible and you see the bloodlines that are responsible, it's hard to just keep it cordial out here. I'm not angry at anybody. I'm not trying to cause any harm to anybody. I'm not out here, guns blazing, trying to, no, I'm just fully aware of what's capable of who I'm going against. My enemies. Let's call it what it is. There's no ops. It's just real enemies. This is systemic. This has more to do with learning about who you're destined to be and